Do you know that King today? Yeah, I do. I do. People say, well, how do you know him if it's all happened over 2,000 years ago? How do you know this man? How do you know this King that you talk about? Well, it's by faith that I believe in him. It's by faith that I'm trusting in him. It's by faith that I surrendered my life to him. And it's better felt than told. There is a feeling about it. And if I didn't feel nothing, Brother Darrell, I don't know that I would have ever moved. And the question is, I guess several things on my mind, and I may talk just for a little bit, Brother Darrell, and see where God may lead me. And I know it's already, we don't want to keep everybody late, but I do know that, it's on God's time. God's got it all under control. We talked about the world and how, and you've heard Brother Johnny talk about the world and how bad it's getting and how things get worse and worse and worse. And we understand what the Bible talks about and how things will get worse. And we know how the devil works and how that we battle him. We don't necessarily battle a lot of things that we see and understand here, but it's against principalities and powers and spiritual wickedness in high places. And we battle against those fiery darts that he throws. And he beats upon God's children. He hates us, Brother John. He hates us. He doesn't like God. He doesn't like us. Doesn't like anything about the church. And we battle against those things. And we know that if he had his will, Brother Darrell, we wouldn't come to church. If his will happened, then there wouldn't even be a church. Okay, but so let's look at it like this. The world it's a cold place. Men and women, they're all about self-gain. We see that everywhere, don't we? The love of God, and he knew that his spirit would not always strive with man. And he destroyed the world once before, and we know what's coming. Matter of fact, the demons, when Jesus was talking to the man named Legion, because he had many, they themselves looked at Christ and said, have you come to torment us before our time? Which means they know what their end is, and they know that there's a time a-coming, and they know where they're going, don't they? They knew who Christ was. So there is a point at a time. In the world, it seems like it's worse and worse and worse. And there's things that I see, Brother Darrell, that I would have never dreamed that I've seen them. And is it going to get any better? So what happens when things in the world get worse and worse and worse, and you see memberships in churches decline, and you see nobody wanting to come out, and you see a lot of things going against the church and against God, and you see those things. Does that affect us? Think about that for a minute. That's my question. Does that affect us? My answer would be no. Okay? My answer would be no, because if we let it, it would affect us. We choose what we're going to stare at. We choose what we're going to focus on. And if I lived in a place and I focused only upon the bad, matter of fact, look at Lot when he was in Sodom and Gomorrah. Look at what the Bible talks about him, that he was vexed, wasn't he? His soul was vexed by the filthy conversation and about all the things going on around him. If we focused on the world and all the bad things and looked, and that was our hope, was only in this world alone, we'd be of all men most miserable, would we not? But our hope doesn't lie here, does it? Brother Stephen, it's not in this land, is it? But our hope lies in Jesus Christ. Our hope in a better land, in a better place, and that is heaven's land. Do you trust in that today? Are you looking to Jesus today? That's where my love is, Brother Darrell. That's where my strength lies. That's where my hope lies. If I relied in this land, that means I would look to my government for help. I would look for the president for help. But I don't do that. I'm looking beyond Him. I'm looking beyond myself. I'm looking beyond my local community. I'm looking to Jesus Christ, the one who has all power in heaven and in earth. So does the world gets all bad. If it gets worse and worse and worse, Sister Barb, guess what? I don't have to rely on those things. If I let it, it'll bring me down. But I don't have to let it. For greater is He that is in me than he that is in the world. I'm going to put my trust in Jesus Christ. Though the walk may be hard sometimes, though the fiery darts, they may fly upon me, but I've got an armor, and if I choose to put it on, I can draw protection from it, and I can march on even more. But we got too many Christians, Brother Johnny, who took that shield, and they're holding it up, and they're hiding behind it. They're waiting for the day when they enter heaven's land. And they're not marching. They're not moving. Matter of fact, Brother Darrell, I believe that you can get cold if all you're doing is hiding behind the shield. You think that's God's will? That we just hide behind the shield? If it was, then He wouldn't have told us about all the other armor. Did He not say have your loins girt with truth? Put on the shoes of the preparation of the gospel of peace? Have your feet shod with those shoes? How about the breastplate of righteousness? A helmet of salvation? And then the shield? How about the sword? Of the Spirit? And the one that we leave off all the time, prayer? You imagine a life with Christ without prayer? What kind of life would that be? If my wife and I got into it, or if I got busy and I never talked to my wife, what kind of relationship do you think my wife and I would have if I never talked to her, if I never listened to her? But it'd be kind of cold, wouldn't it? It'd be kind of rough. What kind of relationship do you have today with Jesus Christ? If you've been born again and you don't find yourself on your knees, still in a way to have that private time with God, how close do you think you are? Not very close if you don't talk to Him. Prayer, I feel, is part of that armor. So, how close to God are you? Now that depends on you. Now also, about being close to God, Brother Darrell. We talked about with this world being waxing cold and cold and cold, will that affect us? If you're not close to God, that will affect you. Because you'll be focused on it, you'll be worried about it, you'll be concerned about it. But if you're close to God, where there's comfort, where there's peace, there's protection, there's love. Draw nigh to the shepherd. The world's going to wax cold. But guess what? His grace is sufficient, is it not? His yoke is easy. His burden is light. It's not light when I try to do things my own way. When I separate myself from Christ. In other ways, not separated by salvation. But if I do my own thing and I am not focused on Him, it gets rough. It gets hard to walk. It's hard. And I struggle. But I found out Brother Cornelius, if I focus my eyes on Jesus, everything seems to fall in line. He says He knows what we need. Take no thought for tomorrow, for God knows what we need. Tomorrow's sufficient with the evil thereof. But praise His name today. He knows us. He knows the very hairs upon our head. He knows what we need even before we ask it, but yet He still wants us to ask. There was a woman that we read about in the Bible. A famine was in the land. She went out and she was going to gather up some sticks. She was going to bake her a little cake, a little bread. Her and her son was going to eat. That's all that they had. And she knew in her heart, we're just going to eat this and then we're just going to die. Because they had nothing else. They had no food, just enough maybe for one last meal. But then here come a man of God, began to talk to her and said, go make me a cake and get me something. And she told him, all I have is this. I was going to fix it. My son and I, we were going to eat and then we were going to die. He told her to go and do that first for him and then she can go and bake her own for her and her son. She was obedient to that man of God. She went in and made it for him. He ate. And guess what? She went back to make some more, and it was full, and it never went down. Praise the name of the Lord. What we got, you fellow Christians, is renewed day by day. So what happens in this world does not affect me and my salvation. Praise His name today. God wrote my name in the Lamb's Book of Life. And there's not enough demons in hell. Though they beat upon us, though the waves of life come upon us, though the cares of this world will try to keep us up at night, they cannot knock me out of heaven. Because I'm weak? Yes. Do I stumble? Yes. Am I perfect? No. Do I make mistakes? Absolutely. Am I strong enough to hold on to God? No. This body and my strength, I'm not. But praise God, I don't have to hold on, Brother Darrell, for He's got a hold on me and He'll never let me go. Praise His name today. So how strong are you? Strong enough because I don't rely in my strength. I rely in His strength. So today, who are you focusing on? Who are you trusting in? Who are you walking with? I've got a friend that walks with me. His name is Jesus. I wasn't there when He nailed Him upon a cross. I wasn't there when the blood and water came, when that soldier pierced Him in the side. I wasn't there when He gave up the ghost and said, it is finished. I wasn't there. People say, oh, how do you say you know a man that did all that? How do you say that you know a man who was buried and rose on that third and appointed morning? Because I feel He came and He drawed me. And I feel that He moved in and He took up His abode and He cast out that strong man. It is better felt than told. People say, how do you know? How do you know? Do you feel it? Yes. There was two men walking one time. Brother Darrell and these two men, this is right after Jesus was buried and they found his body. They went to go look for his body and it wasn't there, and they found that it was gone. That He rose, and they were some sisters and some that had seen and went and told, and as these two men walked, all so sad and just worried, they had the cares of the world upon them. All of a sudden, a man came up behind them, began to talk to them and said, why are you so sad? And they looked back, said, are you a stranger in these lands? Have you not heard all that had happened to this man named Jesus, how that he was brought up and crucified and was buried, and now that his body is gone. Are you a stranger here? They didn't know who it was, Brother Darrell, who was talking to them. It was Jesus Himself talking to them. Their eyes couldn't see Him, but yet He began to expound unto them the gospel and began to start it and told them all these things. Should not He had come and to suffer and to enter into His glory. Praise His name today. And when they got to their house, He made as if He would have went on by, and they begged Him to come in, for it was late. Jesus stood and He began to bless some bread. When He did, their eyes were open, and Jesus was gone from them. They began to talk to one another and said, "Did not our hearts burn within us?" I don't know about you, but I love it when my heart burns within, when the cares of life seem to boil all over me, when the waves begin to come. Guess what? When the Spirit of God begins to move, there's nothing any better than they just melt away. Praise His name today. I love it when my heart burns within. I can feel a little of that burning right now. And that is nothing compared to the joy that's coming in the morning. Sister Ada, there's joy in the morning waiting on us. Matter of fact, we can't even accept all that joy. Our bodies can't even hold it. But we don't have to worry about that, because we're going to get a new body. A body likened unto Jesus Christ's most glorified body. Praise His name today. And then we'll all enter in and we'll be home with Jesus forever and ever and ever. So does the cares of life and the trouble of the world, if it gets worse and worse and colder, can it affect the children of God? That is your choice. I'm not going to let it affect me, Brother Harold, because I'm focusing upon Jesus Christ. And He'll calm the seas of my life. He'll calm my heart. Troubles come, yes they do. But Jesus is that constant peace that I've got. That peace that surpasses all understanding. That you just try to explain it and you can't. You try to figure it out and you can't. All you know is I've got a peace about me. That's the peace of God that lives inside of us. And if you don't have that, the cares of this world, they'll eat you up. The devil, he'll make you think everything's all right. No. He's a liar, and the truth is not in him, is it? He's the father of it. What he wants is to blind you until you die. And then he'll sit back and laugh, because you'll be with him and those other devils who said, "Have you come to torment us before our time?" They've got a time coming. They got a place coming. That's that lake of fire. Wasn't even created for us, but for the devil and his angels. And his borders are enlarged day by day. Think about that. That is your choice. He wishes to blind you, that devil, with the cares of life. And you'll think everything's all right, and you'll think, "Man, I've got plenty of time." It's a lie. My hope is in Jesus. Blessed is that man who trusts in the Lord. Trust in the Lord. He shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water. Now you tell me that the cares of this life will hurt the children of God if we're like trees planted by the rivers of water. Our roots will grow deep. What are they reaching to? I believe they're reaching to that river that flows right out of the throne of God. We shall not even know when drought comes, and our leaves shall everly be green. Because His grace is sufficient. That's good enough for me. My hope is in Jesus. My eyes is focused on Him. And if yours is not, Brother Darrell, I hope that God shines that light unto them and gives you that opportunity and that desire to turn from your ways and to turn to His ways. For there's only one way. It's through and by Jesus Christ.